Hello everyone, my name is Ken. Today I want to explain about Johnnie Walker whiskey, starting from the history, origin, and whiskey usage varieties. Whiskey is one of the most famous alcoholic drinks. It is categorized as a spirits because it has around 40% of alcohol. Most people like to drink whiskey even in Indonesia. They like the strong flavor of the whiskey. I will begin with the history of whiskey. Actually, no one knows how long people have been distilling alcohol, but some sources say that the practice has been done for at least 4,000 years. By the 12th century, it had made its way to Europe. It was never allowed to mature and tended to be very raw, as suitable for a drink that was seen primarily as a medicine and used for treatment. Then, whiskey production made its way into the home states of Scotland people. Over time, these home distillers refined the process and discovered that whiskey could be a pleasurable experience in its own right. Fast forward to the early 19th century, whiskey has become a principle of life in Scotland. Johnnie Walker whiskey is made in Scotland, and it is a blend Scotch whisky. It is made by mixing together single malt whiskies and single grain whiskies. The advantage of blending is to ensure the flavor and quality of the whiskey remain the same from time to time. A Scotch whisky must be made from malted barley or grain, with the spirit aged in oak casks no bigger than 700 liters, for no less than 3 years. Whiskey is made all over the world, but to call Scotch whisky, it must be made entirely in Scotland. Here is a simple walk through the basics of making a true Scotch whisky. The first step starts with malting by adding hot water to the grain mixture. Cereals that are high in starch will be converted into soluble sugars in order to make alcohol. This happens naturally during germination. The growth process is stopped by drying the cereal in the furnace. Next, the cereal is then ground in a mill so that it can be mixed with water. Second step, hot water is mixed to extract the soluble sugar, then it will be cooled. Yeast is added and fermentation begins, creating a kind of beer. The third steps, this beer is then distilled twice to lower the water content and increase the concentration of alcohol and flavor. The third step, this beer is then distilled twice to lower the water content and increase the concentration of alcohol and flavor. Distillation involves boiling the liquid in a large container called a still. This is usually made of copper. Last, the product of the distillation process is transferred to specially treated oak cake to mature for a minimum of 3 years before it can legally be called Scotch whisky. The story of Johnnie Walker begins when John Walker's father died in 1819, and the family decided to sell their farm and use the money to make a grocery shop that sells whiskey. But at that time, whiskey taste is not consistent. The taste can change even if you drink it from the same bottle at the next day. So John started blending them together so his whiskey tastes just as good every time. John died, and his son Alexander continued his journey by launching Old Highland Whiskey in 1889, and the business kept running within the family, with Alexander's son and grandchildren leading the company. In 1909, Alexander II changed the company name to Johnnie Walker and renamed their most popular whiskies, which is now known as Red Label and Black Label. By 1920, Johnnie Walker whiskey was in 120 countries, and as for today, Johnnie Walker has become the biggest whiskey brand in the world. 7 kinds of Johnnie Walker whiskey. The first one is Red Label, which is the best-selling Scotch whisky around the world, and the next one is Black Label. This one is created using only whiskey that has been matured for a minimum of 12 years. Johnnie Walker also launched Double Black Label, which has intense smoky character and layers of spice. The fourth One is green label. This whiskey is craft from malts that have been matured for at least 15 years in an oak barrel. The next one is gold label reserve, which is a gold medal award-winning blend created by master blender Jim Beveridge to celebrate nearly 200 years of Johnnie Walker. The next one is age 18 years old. As the name said, the whiskey has been aged for 18 years before going to the market. The last one is Blue Label. This is the masterpiece of Johnnie Walker, which make it the most expensive one. Actually, there is no wrong or right way to drink whiskey. As long as you enjoy it, that's it. That matter the most. Classic style of drinking whiskey is only ice and the whiskey itself. It is recommended to drink a little sip of whiskey with air at the first to introduce the real taste to your tongue palate. Then you can add the ice or some drop of water to the whiskey to make it lighter. Or you can also drink the whiskey by making a highball cocktail. There are two types of whiskey highball that you can make. The first one is whiskey ginger highball, which is ginger ale and lime. And then the other one is whiskey soda highball, which is made only by mixing soda with whiskey. To end this video, I hope by making this it can be helpful for my IP in terms of product knowledge and know some information about Johnnie Walker whiskey, which is the most famous whiskey in the world.